I would like to first preface this by saying I do not condone anything this person did. However, I do not want anyone to harass them because that would just be an asshole. You'd be making a fool out of yourself to go harass them, and you'd look like a total douche if you did. NyanWolf. This is a video dedicated to someone who will never see it in their lifetime. I'm just gonna go off of paraphrasing of the response. I have read it way too many times for me to want to reread it ever again. Okay. Basically, they're talking about how they were looking at cartoony drawings of Pokemons with buttholes out and like very rapey stuff. So just to preface this by saying that's the controversy. They were looking at a bunch of animal buttholes, but drawn. I don't know why. They're just freaky like that. Okay, so this is where I'm going to start reading. Line 1. Like, literally nothing about this situation involves me ever hurting anyone or causing harm, and literally nothing about it, nothing about this situation involves animals ever being harmed or threatened in any sort of way at all. I would never condone or support that shit ever. I think that's funny, first of all, because literally what they were searching, what they were searching up was, like, just to think of it, one of them was how this is censored, by the way. This is just how telling it was. I can say this, and it was censored. The image was censored, and I can still tell all this. Okay? Okay. The image was an animal with its butthole out, pretty much. Just pretty much. That like a fat Pokemon with its butt out. And the caption was like, it can't run. Which is really creepy, and I don't know why they try to play that off as something that is so cutesy, so funny of them, such an uber leap mistake. Because firstly, they just talk about how it didn't harm anyone. It's just funny because it wasn't talking about anyone. It was about animals getting their buttholes bedilled by rapists. That's the thing of what they liked. And moving on to one part, they say their NSFW account was kept completely private between consenting adults until it got leaked by a stalker, which is where all the evidence comes from. I think that's also funny because the person who revealed it wasn't a stalker. Your likes are public, and so is your repost, at least I'm pretty sure on Twitter. So it's that easy just to find someone's account by accident and then look at what they're liking and reposting and then realize, oh my god, this person's looking at animal butthole. Let me tell them to be more careful. Because that's what they did. They didn't go all out on them, which honestly they should have done. All they said was, hey, you gotta stop being all risky. Someone's gonna find out about this and you're gonna get, like, nuked off the internet. And they proceeded to lie to them. And that annoys me so badly. And then next of all, the fact not only did they lie to them, but actually was kind of sassy to them. You know, the people trying to help them, they were rude to the person that was actually trying to help. And passed it off, which is also annoying. But you gotta think about it like this. Maybe they were in a bad mood that day, which doesn't matter. Because you're still not someone's trying to save your career because you can't salvage it yourself. And you get all pissy, you get all nutty wuddy in your panty panties. You get all nutty wuddy in your panty wannies. And you go and go, I was on drugs, it's all blobby. Then how the hell did you type out that response if you're constantly on drugs? Which is another point. Their main thing, defending themselves, was how they were on a shit ton of drugs back then, and they would never support that. It was just blobby shapes to them. Which is funny because how did you get it recommended to you in the first place? You had to have looked at it at some point, which is creepy until you realize the fact that why did they like anything else other than zoophilic things? Huh? Why did none of the other blobby shapes appeal to them? Was it because the animal butts were squishy tishy, or whatever to them? Maybe that's why. I don't know. I just think that this whole drama is crazy, how they try to pass it off. And they're talking about how it was all because they were on drugs, which it wasn't, because you aren't just on drugs constantly. You aren't on there. You aren't on drugs 24/7, 365 during just a singular day. So I think it's funny that they try to pass it off as that, even though that's not exactly that's not exactly what they were doing, and they probably weren't even doing drugs at the time, which is also funny. Anyway, essentially, blah blah blah, tisk, person looks at animal butthole and gets in trouble from their mama and papa from it, and no one likes them, everybody hates Chris, and they try to live happily ever after. And there's only 3 comments, including mine, which, discluding mine, there's only 2 comments on his most recent community post that talk about what he did out of 50 other comments, not including mine, which is also kind of funny. One of them seemed kind of satirical anyway, which is also kind of funny, but whatever. So, this person, to NyanWolf, you're an embarrassment. You look at animal buttholes and you're all rapey and stuff, and I don't really wish anything on you except that you learn better than to lie to someone, get rude at them, and then act like a saint in your next response after trying to pin your initial one off of mental disorders you probably don't even have, and drugs you probably have never even touched in your life, which I can't say that they've probably never done it before, but I'd imagine they probably have barely any experience with it, at least to my knowledge. If you're just a creep like that, you probably, and try to pass it off with drugs, you probably have never touched drugs in your life, not to mention all the points they brought up was kind of outdated or wrong in general about drugs. You don't just see animal buttholes as blobby shapes and think that's the only thing you're gonna like now. So that doesn't add up. And overall, I don't want you to have a happy career until you can resuscitate yourself to a point where you know that you're not gonna try and lie to any other people and do the call me Carson thing and just lie and say you're doing stuff because other people are helping you, when in reality you're not doing anything. AKA TLDR. Just quit wasting your breath and your carpal tunnel fingers and start taking accountability for your actions instead of blaming it on other people, you pathetic wimp. To NyanWolf.